My family said I was ungrateful when I spoke up about my sister taking credit for my work. They dreamed of a Parker and Parker firm, but I had my own plan. The lawyer, the evidence, and the cameras. You know that feeling when your entire world is ripped out from under you? When the people you trust most betray you in the most intimate way. That's exactly what happened when I walked back into my studio, only to find my life's work stolen, twisted, and claimed by my own sister, with my parents cheering her on. I'd just gotten back from 3 days of client meetings in Nashville, tired but energized. Stepping into my studio, that familiar scent of leather and fresh paint was supposed to welcome me home. But something felt off. My vintage velvet armchair, the one I just reupholstered last month, sat 2 feet from where it always lived. My meticulously organized sketches? Stacked in disarray on my drafting table. "Lila," I called out, my voice echoing in the uncharacteristic silence. This wasn't just messy. It looked like someone had rearranged everything for a photo shoot, not for actual work. I've spent 7 years perfecting this space, every table at the right height, every lamp positioned perfectly. It was my sanctuary. "Zoe, you're back early." Lila burst through the back door, coffee sloshing over the rim of her mug. Her eyes darted nervously around the room, landing everywhere but on me. "What happened here?" I asked, tracing the edge of my design table. Her shoulders slumped. She set down her coffee and slid her tablet across the table. "Your mother stopped by with strawberry jam on Tuesday when she found out you were in Nashville." Her voice trailed off as she tapped the screen. A digital magazine spread filled the tablet. The headline hit me like a physical blow: "Rose Parker, Georgia's hidden design gem." My stomach dropped. It was my sister, Rose, posing confidently in my studio, her hand resting on my custom drafting table, the one I built from reclaimed pine flooring from our grandmother's house. "They stole my life's work while I was away," I whispered, the words burning my throat. Lila's eyes welled with tears. "Your mother brought the jam, asked where you were, then Rose showed up with photographers an hour later. I tried calling you." I fumbled for my phone. A stream of missed calls from Lila, all during my client negotiations. I'd been in presentations all day, phone on silent. The article described Rose's unique vision and signature style, all while showcasing my carefully curated space, my handcrafted lighting, my custom shelving, my carefully selected color palette. Everything attributed to Rose. Then I froze. There, prominently displayed, was a photo of my college thesis project, a reading nook I designed using reclaimed materials on a student budget. The caption? "Rose's early work shows her sustainable approach to design." The realization hit me hard. My own family planned this betrayal. It wasn't just a random act. When I was 12, I rearranged my bedroom furniture weekly, obsessed with flow and function. Rose got new bedspreads. I got sideways glances for dragging home abandoned furniture to refinish. By 16, I was trading and upcycling, developing the aesthetic that would become my signature. My parents called it playing house, while they praised Rose's academic achievements. I worked 3 jobs to put myself through design school: waitressing, retail, office cleaning. My parents contributed nothing, claiming creative careers were risky investments. Those years blended into a haze of exhaustion, paint fumes, and pure determination. Every single piece in the studio represented a sacrifice, a choice to build something meaningful instead of taking the easier path. Just last month, at our monthly family dinner, Rose casually suggested becoming the face of my company. "You're the talent, Zoe, but let's be honest, I'm better with people." Mom and Dad agree. "It makes perfect business sense," she smiled, slicing into her pot roast. I put down my fork. "I built this from nothing. I won't give the credit to someone else." "Don't be selfish," Mom snapped. "Rose has connections. She's trying to help you." "After all we've done for you," Dad added, even though he'd done nothing but doubt me. I walked out, their accusations of ingratitude following me to the car. I never thought they'd go this far. My phone rang, jolting me back to the present. It was the Harrises, my newest clients for a Craftsman renovation. "Miss Parker? We've decided to go in another direction." Mr. Harris's voice was stiff. "We've seen the article about your sister's work and reached out to her directly." Before I could respond, he hung up. My email pinged, a potential client asking if Rose was available for consultation. Another ping. Rose had tagged me in a social media post, thanking me for inspiring her design journey. I placed both hands flat on my design table, feeling the wood grain against my palms. My breath steadied. My spine straightened. "This is my studio," I said, my voice stronger than I expected, "and I will fight for it." Lila nodded, determination replacing her tears. "Where do we start?" My hands shook as I opened my laptop. That magazine article was just the beginning. After a sleepless night, I was determined to understand the full scope of Rose's betrayal. "Try her Instagram," Lila suggested, perching on my desk with 2 steaming cups of coffee, her eyes reflecting my anxiety. I typed Rose's name. My stomach dropped. 53,000 followers. The profile description: budget decor expert and sustainable design consultant. When did she? My voice caught. I scrolled down, each image a fresh punch to the gut. There was my converted barn door coffee table from 2014. The custom built-ins I designed for the Wilson's Lake house in 2018. The vintage trunk repurposed as a kitchen island from last summer's cabin renovation. "Look at the captions," Lila whispered. "Another weekend transformation. My design. Budget renovation. Creating beauty from abandoned pieces is my passion. Rescue design." The comments flooded in. "You're so talented. Where did you learn these skills?" Rose's replies sounded exactly like me. "I believe function should always meet beauty at the intersection of affordability." My words. My design philosophy. Written in my journal since design school. "Pinterest too," Lila said, pulling up the search. "Look at the date on this board. December 2012, the month I completed my first paid renovation." Rose's board, titled My Design Journey, contained photos of my college projects, early client work, and concept sketches, all presented as hers. "She's been stealing from me for over a decade," I said, my voice trembling despite the effort to stay composed. "This isn't opportunistic. It's calculated." Lila's phone pinged. "Your mother texted me. She wants to know if we're still planning to participate in the follow-up shoot tomorrow." "Follow-up shoot?" The words felt like acid. Lila slid her phone toward me. The text thread between her and my mother revealed their entire plan. "Rose needs more photos for her portfolio. We'll bring the photographers when Zoe's in Nashville. Zoe might not appreciate people in her studio without permission. It's just family photos, dear. Don't worry so much." I scrolled further, seeing coordination between my mother and Rose about camera angles, which projects to feature, even which of my client files to pull for background inspiration. "There's more," Lila said, pulling up her email. "The photographer contacted me this morning. He felt uncomfortable when he realized what was happening." The email contained attachments, behind-the-scenes photos showing Rose and my mother directing the shoot, moving my furniture, arranging my sketches. One image even captured my father in the doorway, watching. The whole family was in on it. The betrayal solidified like concrete in my chest. My phone rang again. The Dalton Group, my largest commercial client. "Miss Parker? This is Margaret Dalton. We're confused about who's actually designing our new office space. Your sister contacted us, claiming she's taking over the creative direction." The room tilted slightly. "She has no authority to contact you. I'm handling your project personally." That's what we assumed, but the magazine article is unauthorized and inaccurate. "I'll send documentation confirming our contract terms today." I ended the call and immediately saw an email from my bank, monthly loan payment for studio space due in 3 days. I opened my accounting software, calculating potential losses. The numbers were devastating. 6 months before financial collapse if this continued. "You've got another email," Lila said, from Ellie Shepard. Ellie. We sat next to each other for 3 years of design courses. The email was brief, just saw that magazine spread. "That reading nook they're crediting to Rose? I remember watching you build that in our senior thesis studio at 2 a.m. What's going on?" "People know my work," I said, a small flame of hope flickering. "Not everyone will believe her." "I've got your back," Lila said. "I tried to stop them during the shoot, But your mother insisted they had your permission. I should have done more. You did what you could. I squeezed her hand briefly before pulling up the security camera app on my phone. Let's see exactly what happened. The footage showed Rose directing photographers, pointing at specific designs, demonstrating how she created various pieces. The timestamp confirmed they spent 3 hours in my studio. I'm calling Jackson Thompson, I decided, scrolling for my lawyer's number. 30 minutes later, I'd outlined everything to Jackson, who listened with increasing concern. We're looking at multiple issues here, he explained. Trespass, unauthorized commercial filming, false endorsement, possibly defamation. I'll draft cease and desist letters today. I ended the call and stood at my studio window, watching rain begin to fall against the glass. For a moment, the tears I'd been fighting threatened to surface. I pressed my palms against my eyes until the pressure pushed back the emotion. When I lowered my hands, my phone screen lit up with a message from the magazine editor. Miss Parker, I understand there may be an issue with our recent feature. I'm available to discuss this afternoon. I took a deep breath, straightening my shoulders. The first small victory. Lila, I called, turning from the window with newfound resolve. Pull everything we have, documenting my work history. Every sketch, every client testimonial, every before and after. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about every creator who's had their work stolen. Every artist who's had to fight to be recognized. And I won't back down. The next morning, I woke to my phone buzzing for notifications from friends sharing Rose's latest social media post. With heavy fingers, I tapped the screen, and there she was, standing in my studio, hands lovingly caressing my custom-built shelving. Thank you all for the overwhelming support. Her practiced voice flowed through my speakers. I'm so grateful to finally share my design journey with the world. The video panned across my workspace, the space I created, the tables I built, the lighting I installed after 3 sleepless nights of calculations. All presented as hers. Delete, I whispered, closing the app before hurling my phone onto the bed. The landline rang. Mrs. Holloway, my mother's bridge partner for 20 years. Zoe, dear, your mother just called with the wonderful news about you and Rose working together now. She said you're both featured in Georgia Style this month. My throat tightened. That's not actually. Always knew you girls would make a perfect team. Your creativity and Rose's people skills. Your parents are calling everyone. After Mrs. Holloway, 3 more calls came from family friends, each congratulating me on the partnership I never agreed to. By noon, the magazine article had been shared across 6 design blogs. By evening, the local news included a brief segment on the talented Parker sisters taking Georgia's design world by storm. Lila brought me coffee as we watched my reputation being dismantled in real time. How do they sleep at night? She asked, her voice small against the magnitude of the theft. I didn't answer. Instead, I walked to my storage closet and pulled out my portfolio cases, 7 years of work, documented in chronological order. I spread the contents across the floor, sketches dated and signed, photographs of empty rooms transformed, handwritten thank you notes from clients. This, I said, running my fingers over a sketch from 2018, is evidence. I found my college thesis project, the reading nook Rose claimed as her early work. Professor Winters had written across the top, exceptional spatial awareness. You have a genuine gift, Zoe. My hand trembled as I touched a photo of my first tiny office, a converted storage room above a flower shop. I'd slept on a second-hand futon those first months, showering at the gym to make rent while building my client list. Remember Elaine Thompson? I asked Lila, holding up before and after photos of a Victorian parlor transformation. Your first major client, Lila nodded. She hired me when I had nothing but a borrowed camera and some hand-drawn sketches. She said, "You've got something special, young lady. I'm willing to bet on it." My voice strengthened with the memory. I built this once. I can build it again if I have to. The studio door chimed. Rose swept in, our mother trailing behind her, both carrying designer coffees and practiced smiles. There she is. Rose exclaimed, arms outstretched as if for a hug I didn't offer. The creative genius behind it all. I stood perfectly still among my scattered portfolio evidence. Why are you here? We brought coffee, Mother said, her voice dropping into the concerned tone she used when she wanted something. Thought we should talk about next steps. The response to the article has been tremendous. Rose set her cup down, careful not to disturb my evidence spread. Look, Zoe, I know you're upset about how this happened, but the publicity is good for both of us. We can share the spotlight. There's room for both Parker sisters. This is what family does, Mother added, sinking into my client consultation chair. We help each other succeed. Help each other? My laugh sounded foreign even to my own ears. You didn't help me succeed. You tried to steal what I already built. Rose's smile faltered. That's a bit dramatic. Dramatic? I was just taking credit for my work, using my designs to book paying consultations, pretending my years of sacrifice were yours. I gestured to the ceiling corner, where the security camera silently recorded everything. And now you're standing in my studio, continuing the lie. Mother's eyes widened, following my gesture to the camera. You're recording us? Your own family? I record everyone who enters my professional space for security. My phone buzzed with a text, then another and another. Daniel Woodley, my mentor from design school, saw the article. I've got 15 years of your design development documented. Tell me what you need. Professor Winters, that reading nook is unmistakably your thesis project. I still have the original presentation boards. The Morgans, clients whose Georgian revival I completed last spring, we hired you for your vision, not your sisters. How can we help set the record straight? Something shifted inside me, the loneliness of betrayal giving way to the strength of unexpected alliance. You should go, I told Rose and Mother, my voice steady now. My attorney will be here soon. Attorney? Mother's hand fluttered to her throat. Surely we can handle this as a family. You forfeited that option when you planned a commercial photo shoot in my studio without permission. My phone rang. Martin Klein, my attorney. Good news, he said when I answered. The unauthorized use of your copyrighted designs gives us clear grounds for action against both the magazine and your sister. I've prepared cease and desist letters with a 24-hour deadline for retraction. I kept my eyes on Rose's face as I responded. Deliver them today. Rose's confident posture crumbled. She fumbled for her phone, fingers flying across the screen, no doubt reaching out to the magazine editors. Within an hour, the online article disappeared, replaced with a notice of content under review. Mother left 3 voice messages that evening, her tone evolving from righteously indignant to uncharacteristically uncertain. For the first time since discovering the theft, I slept through the night. The next morning, Lila and I met with Patricia Saunders, a PR specialist specializing in reputation management. Document everything, Patricia advised, reviewing our timeline of evidence. Every unauthorized post, every stolen design, every false claim. We'll prepare statements for your clients and industry contacts that clarify ownership without sounding defensive. We installed additional security cameras and changed the locks. I authorized Lila as the only person allowed to access the studio in my absence. This isn't just about me anymore, I told them both as we reviewed the protection measures. It's about everyone who creates. If I let this stand, I'm saying it's okay to steal someone's life's work. After they left, I discovered something I hadn't noticed before. Hidden in Rose's earliest social media posts were designs she couldn't possibly have created. Copyrighted patterns from established designers, modified just enough to avoid immediate detection. I found receipts from design consultations Rose conducted using my portfolio as her own. Client contracts with clauses she violated by claiming to be the designer of record. I spread a map across my drafting table, circling a location in another state. A place with thriving design opportunities, but far from the shadow of family deception. They think they know my next move, I whispered to the empty studio. They have no idea. 3 days later, after gathering all documents and evidence, I reviewed the email one last time before hitting send. Attached are 37 pages of documentation, proving my ownership of every design that appeared in Rose's fraudulent feature. The message was addressed to every client in my database, past and present. This ends today, I whispered, clicking send. Lila looked up from her laptop, where she was drafting our press release. How does this sound? The interior studio regrets to announce that unauthorized commercial photography took place on our premises during Miss Parker's absence. Perfect, I nodded, watching my phone light up with delivery confirmations. Let's make it crystal clear that Rose has no design credentials whatsoever. Within 20 minutes, my inbox flooded with responses. Design bloggers requesting statements. Industry colleagues expressing outrage. 3 former professors offering sworn statements about my student work. The network I never knew I had materialized like furniture appearing in an empty room. My attorney called. We've filed copyright claims against all of Rose's social media accounts. Expect movement within hours. I checked Instagram while we talked. Rose's perfectly curated feed, 7 years of my designs labeled as hers, vanished post by post as the platform responded to our documentation. The satisfaction burned bright and fierce in my chest. An hour later, the studio door chimed. My mother stood there, clutching a ceramic dish wrapped in a kitchen towel, her eyes red-rimmed. I brought your favorite peach cobbler, she said, voice wavering. I said nothing, continuing to sort client testimonials at my drafting table. Zoe, please, this has gone too far. She set the dish down, wringing her hands. We were only trying to help your business grow. By stealing it? I asked, voice steady despite the anger coursing through me. That's an interesting definition of help. Rose is devastated. Your father. My phone rang. I answered without breaking eye contact with her. Yes, I can verify those are my original sketches from 2018. No, my sister has never had design training. Yes, I have the original client contract. Mom's face crumpled. She left the cobbler and walked out. Later that evening, my father called. You're destroying this family's reputation, he said, voice tightly controlled. People are talking. Good. I scrolled through the design blog that had just published a deep dive investigation into the situation. Let them talk about how my own family tried to steal my livelihood. Your sister has posted an apology video. I've seen it. Rose's tearful performance, claiming she was just trying to help promote her sister's talent, had already been demolished in the comments section by people pointing out years of systematic theft. A text arrived from our family friend Caroline. I'd be happy to mediate this misunderstanding between you girls. I typed back, the evidence speaks for itself. There's nothing to mediate. By morning, the tide had fully turned. The Georgia Design Association issued a statement about creative ownership that mentioned my case without naming names. Everyone knew who they meant. Former clients shared stories of working directly with me, posting before and after photos of their spaces with captions like, "The real designer behind my dream kitchen." The magazine published a retraction and apology. The editor called personally. We had no idea, she said. We've terminated our relationship with the photographer who facilitated this deception. Rose's social media following plummeted. New clients reached out specifically requesting contract clauses stating that Rose cannot represent my work. Parents' friends sent awkward messages expressing disappointment in their behavior. My phone rang again. Rose's name flashed on the screen. Against my better judgment, I answered. You're ruining everything for me, she sobbed immediately. All my followers, my reputation? You mean my followers and my reputation? I corrected her. You can't lose what was never yours. We were only trying to help you both succeed. My mother's voice cut in, I was on speakerphone. You've always been so stubborn about doing everything your way. I laughed without humor. My way? You mean the legal way? The ethical way? The way that doesn't involve theft. Then an email appeared from my father. I may have misjudged the situation. Let's talk about how to move forward as a family. For the first time in nearly 15 years, our monthly family dinner was canceled. The group text remained silent. I walked through my studio, touching the furniture I built, the fabrics I selected, the lighting I designed. They still didn't understand what they did wrong. They never would. The movers arrived tomorrow for the initial consultation. The new lease in Savannah sat signed on my desk. 3 key clients had already agreed to continue their projects remotely. Lila had given notice on her apartment. I stood at the window, watching darkness settle over the garden my mother helped me plant when I first opened this space. The bittersweet ache in my chest didn't diminish my resolve. Sometimes you have to leave to truly move forward, I told Lila, as she placed the last of today's documentation in our growing legal file. She nodded, understanding something my family never could, that some spaces, once violated, can never feel like home again. 3 days later, I pulled the last roll of bubble wrap from its box, the plastic crackling as I secured another frame design certificate. The studio felt hollow now, half-empty shelves and bare walls reflecting my voice as I directed the packing. Those portfolios go in the reinforced boxes, I told Lila, who nodded and continued labeling containers with meticulous care. The bell above the door jingles. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was, the familiar scent of my mother's floral perfume mixed with the cardboard dust. What is all this? Mother's voice broke through the quiet efficiency of our packing. She stood in the doorway, Rose and Dad hovering behind her like backup singers waiting for their cue. Mother's hand flew to her throat, the gesture so rehearsed I almost expected to see spotlight marks on the floor. Zoe, you can't just leave your family. I continued wrapping a handcrafted lamp base. I'm not leaving my family. I'm relocating my business. Dad stepped forward, all business in his golf polo and pressed khakis. Now, Zoe, let's be reasonable. We can make this work for everyone. He produced a folder from his leather portfolio. I've drawn up a partnership agreement. Rose handles the social aspects, you do the designs. Parker and Parker Interior Design has a nice ring to it. Rose pushed past him, her eyes darting around the half-packed studio. I'll take down all my posts and videos, she blurted, phone already in hand. See, I'm deleting them right now. I placed the wrapped lamp in a box and sealed it with packing tape, the ripping sound cutting through her desperate promises. Too late, I said quietly, walking to my design table where a black binder sat. I've been waiting for this moment. I opened the binder and turned it toward them. Page 1, my original sketches from 2012, dated and notarized. Page 2, Rose's Pinterest board from 2013 showing identical concepts labeled as her own. I flipped through methodically. Pages 3 through 17, screenshots of my designs appearing on Rose's social media over the past decade with timestamps. Mother tried to close the binder. Zoe, this is ridiculous. I moved her hand away firmly. Page 18, financial records showing client cancellations following your magazine stunt. Estimated losses, $48,000. Dad's face paled. Numbers always get through to him. I pulled out my phone and pressed play on a recorded conversation. Rose's voice filled the studio. Of course, I borrowed from Zoe's portfolio. She has the talent, but I make it marketable. That's how family works. Rose lunged for my phone. You recorded me? That's illegal. Georgia is a one-party consent state, I replied calmly, and this isn't about forgiveness. It's about consequences. The door opened again. My attorney, Sarah Bennett, walked in with a leather portfolio of her own. She placed 3 identical documents on the table. The settlement terms are straightforward, Sarah explained, her tone professional but cold. A public retraction acknowledging Zoe as the true designer of all disputed works, financial compensation for lost clients and reputation damage. A non-competition agreement preventing Rose from commercial interior design work for 3 years. Mother sank into my packing chair. This is absurd. There's more, I continued. Rose will publish a statement acknowledging me as the true designer behind all previously claimed work. And you both, I looked directly at my parents, are forbidden from any involvement in my business affairs. Sarah placed 3 pens on the table. Sign today or we proceed with the lawsuit tomorrow. The magazine's legal team has already settled separately. Rose's facade finally cracked. You always had the talent I wanted, she screamed, tears streaming down her face. Do you know what it's like growing up with someone who can create something beautiful out of garbage while I can't even match throw pillows properly? Mother collapsed into genuine tears, not the manipulative ones I'd seen my whole life. Her shoulders shook with sobs that seemed to come from somewhere real for once. Dad stood frozen, stunned into silence. His eyes moved from the settlement papers to the half-packed studio, finally seeing the damage they'd caused. I walked to the door and held it open. The moving trucks arrive at 8 tomorrow morning. I won't be here. After they left, Lila locked the door behind them and turned the sign to closed. "Are you okay?" she asked, returning to a box of design samples. I nodded, surprising myself by actually meaning it. Better than I expected. The next morning, I stood across the street watching the movers load the last of my materials. The family car drove slowly past, all three of them staring at the emptying studio. They didn't stop. Lila walked through each room one final time, turning off lights, methodically. The studio darkened section by section. I crossed the street one last time and placed my new business card in the window, the interior studio in embossed letters, with an address 3 states away. My hand lingered on the doorframe of the space that held both my dreams and my heartbreak. 7 years of work. 7 years of proving myself. "Ready?" Lila asked, joining me with the last potted plant cradled in her arms. The moving truck rumbled to life in the background. Behind us, my assistant designer Marcus waited in his car, ready to follow us to our new location. Beside him sat Trevor, my new business manager who helped secure our new commercial space. My chosen family. "Some family is born," I said, turning away from the empty studio, "and some are chosen." I didn't look back as we drove away. 3 months have passed since I left Atlanta, since I chose myself over the family that betrayed me. I stand in the center of my new studio, morning light streaming through windows twice the size of my old space. The scent of fresh paint and reclaimed wood fills the air as I adjust a vintage table lamp, one I rescued from a thrift store at 16. "Zoe, they're here." Lila calls from the reception area, excitement coloring her voice. I smooth my hands down my rust-colored blazer and take a deep breath. Our first major client in the new location has arrived for the ribbon-cutting ceremony. The Andersons trusted me to redesign their historic farmhouse despite the 3-state distance, despite everything. Marcus, my newest team member, arranges the last chairs while Emma, our junior designer, adjusts the refreshment table. They move with purpose, respecting the vision we've created. Together. No one here treats my designs as something to be stolen. "This space feels alive," Mrs. Anderson whispers as she enters, her husband nodding beside her, like it has a heartbeat. "That's exactly what I was going for," I reply, my smile genuine for the first time in months. After the champagne and congratulations, I retreat to my private design nook. The gallery wall before me displays my journey, sketches from design school, photos of my first apartment renovations, magazine features with my name properly attributed. Centered among them hangs a professional photograph of my college thesis project, the reading nook that Rose once claimed as her own. I've reclaimed more than just credit. I've reclaimed my joy. My journal sits open on my drafting table, pages filled with the therapy homework that helped me process the betrayal. Beside it lies the outline for a mentorship program I'm launching next month for young designers with difficult family dynamics. Some wounds become purpose when given enough time and attention. The mail arrives with Lila's afternoon coffee. She sorts through it efficiently, pausing at a cream-colored envelope. "Your mother," she says simply, placing it on my desk. I recognize the handwriting immediately. It's her 3rd letter of apology, each growing longer as my silence continues. It joins the others in my desk drawer unopened. Some relationships can't be redesigned. Not yet, maybe not ever. My father hasn't written at all. Last I heard, he still couldn't admit his role in what happened. Rose enrolled in actual design courses last month, starting from the beginning, learning the fundamentals she tried to steal from me. An acquaintance from Atlanta sent me the information, though I never asked for updates. The door chimes as our afternoon consultation arrives. Lila greets them in the reception area. "Are you the famous designer?" I hear the client ask her. I step forward from my office, shoulders straight. "I am Zoe Parker. This is my studio." No hesitation, no doubt, no fear of claiming what's mine. Later, after everyone has gone, I receive an email from Interior Vision magazine. They want to feature my new studio with my name prominently displayed. An industry award nomination follows minutes later, recognizing my authentic approach to space and storytelling. The mentorship program has already received 12 applications. My former design school has invited me to speak about creative ownership and professional boundaries. I stand in the center of my studio after hours, lights dim to a warm glow. A framed photograph of my very first secondhand furniture project, a lopsided bookshelf I built at 14, hangs beside my recent award-winning commercial space design. My fingers trace the wall of this new space, feeling its solidity beneath my touch. This is the interior that matters most, the one where I recognize my own worth.